So for so many years, we've all heard about the KPIs, the KPIs of the business. Set the right KPIs for your team members, or in most cases they say staff members, but that's another story. But is it really the most important thing, the KPI or the KPA? And for some people, what is the KPA? Let's go and get stuck in right now. Okay, so we all know that the KPI is the key performance indicator, and these have always been talked up as the best metric that we're meant to have in the business, the top 3 things that we should be judging people on. What are the KPIs of the business? We've had marketing people tell us for years that you show me your KPIs and I'll tell you whether your business is going to be successful. And simply put, that's actually a really easy job. It doesn't take a mathematician, it doesn't take a sales or marketing or business development expert or coach or any of those type of things to know that if you have a certain set of KPIs, your business is doing really well or it's not doing really well. Because the simple fact is this, a KPI is simply the scoreboard. It's simply the result, the outcome. We did all these things over here and we got X result. And so that's all the KPI is. Now, is it important? Yes, absolutely. It is fundamentally very important, because if you don't have the right numbers in your business, then, hey, you might be going out backwards. You might be about to close the doors and you don't even know. So are KPIs important in your business? Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt, yes, they are. I've done massive, extensive work with one of the best business minds, Keith Cunningham, over in Texas. He hasn't been out to Australia for probably 6 or 8 years at least, and he's not going to be doing any more stuff ever in Australia. So if you get the chance and you can go to Texas to work with him, get your credit card out, because it's not cheap, but it is seriously one of the most amazing experiences to be able to work with a guy that still takes a huge amount of the workload for the MBAs at Harvard and also at Stanford. So he's an absolute guru, and I still remember very clearly him telling me that the KPIs are your scoreboard, and you must have the right scoreboard, because just like business and just like in sport, you need to have a scoreboard. Otherwise, why would you play the game in the first place? If you don't have the right scoreboard in a sport, you don't know the winners from the losers. Just like in business, you don't know the winners from the losers. You don't know who won or who lost. You don't know what the patterns are that are going to tell you you're on the right track, or hang on, let's stop and pivot. Let's change this, let's modify that, and get a different output. So KPIs are very important, and you must have them in your business. But here's the thing. A KPI is a result. It's the net output. It's the solution of all of these things and stuff, whatever they are, were done or not done, and the result is the KPI. The challenge is this, it's the result that's already happened. It's already been, it's already gone. You can't actually change the KPI once it's there. Just like in sport, the final whistle goes, the scoreboard shows who won, who lost, shows whether it was a draw, shows you whether people went good or bad, but you can't actually then change the scoreboard. You can't change that result. You can't change the KPI. So what we've been working with for 8 or 9 years now in health and medical businesses is focused on the KPA, the key performance activity. And I got laughed at for many years about people going, what, you're an idiot, etc., etc. And these were from 2 fairly influential business self-professed experts in our industry, that I was focusing on KPAs, not KPIs, and we all should know that KPIs are the most important, etc., etc. The challenge is this, the KPA is always more important than the KPI. And the simple fact is this, you need to be able to work with yourself, your business collectively, or business individuals, team members in your business, more strongly and more focused on the activity that's going to drive the result. Because the key performance activities are what drives the key performance indicator. So if we think about sport and we've got our right scoreboard with our KPI in place, that's great because we know what happens at halftime. We know who's winning or losing at full time. We can't now change that scoreboard. But what we can do is we can now go and change the way in which we work with the key performance activities that will drive a different outcome later or next time, next game, the next game of the season, for instance. So if we think about sport, let's pick a sport. Let's take, you know what, bugger it, let's just go with something like rugby league here in Australia. You take something like rugby league and you're naturally going to start breaking down, or any good coach or club manager, performance manager, etc., they now look not just at whether we won or lost, but they're now more intrigued and more entrenched into knowing to look for more detail. And they will have key performance activities that they're looking for, that they measure, and that they talk to the players about each week. So, things in rugby league for a forward pack might be how many hit-ups, right? How many times that forward gets the ball and takes a hit up and takes a tackle. Because the more they do that, it means that they've got a higher work rate. We want to be able to have our forwards working more, doing more, putting more in for the team, because we know that the more the forwards get stuck in and drive the ball upfield, the better field position they're going to have. Just like in your business, you want to make sure that the right activities are in place so that when we do more of them, and we do more of them in the most efficient and effective way, we're going to drive a better result, a better KPI. We also want to look at things like in rugby league, they'll look at how many meters they've kicked, their possession, the territory. Like, are we always defending off the line? Are we actually attacking efficiently and effectively? If we're not scoring a lot of points off that KPI and we're losing games, it's very beneficial for the coaches to go and look at the key performance activities, such as, are we actually kicking to the corners? Are we actually getting more possession and more territory where we can score tries rather than always defending from our line? And so that's the thing. It's not actually about the actual indicator and the scoreboard at the end that's most important. That just tells us the result. And not that the result isn't important, but you need to make sure that the activity is there. Because when a coach coaches properly, such as the team manager in your situation, the health business owner, you need to be able to talk to all of your team and not just know the result. And this is probably one of the biggest bugbears that I see around management in health and medical businesses. We look at someone's total numbers, we look at how many people they saw, how many consults they did last week, and we formulate an assumption that they are a good practitioner or that they're not right for the team because they might have only seen 32 people, but the KPI is 40. And so what fundamentally that does when we focus just on the KPI is it rewires our brain to make assumptions based on whether the person is good or bad, whether the person is a good team fit or not, whether they're, are the right person to be working with our team, whether they just need to work harder, do more, they need to be just like this other person. And we start putting ridiculous assumptions in place that are most of the time factually misleading. They are factually correct because if they've got X amount of consults last week, that's the KPI. That's correct, but it's factually misleading to look at a KPI and feel that someone is doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Now, everyone listening to this right now, we've all done it before, myself included, where I could look back and go, hey, you know what? Yep, there was that time where I was judging someone based on they weren't seeing enough people last week, for instance. But here's the thing. That's because of a lack of business management and leadership, and me in that scenario not actually putting the right, most important things forward. And that is, it's because I was focused on the KPI and not the KPA. You must be focused on the KPA. You must talk to your team about the key performance activity because that's what they can influence. If you know that you can go and do a letterbox drop with a special new service and product, and you know that you can go and talk to 50 people or 50 businesses or drop 1,000 letterbox drops type of scenario, right? Pick some old school marketing thing. And you do 1,000 letterbox drops, but you know through test and measure that every time you do that, you get 10 more clients. Well, I'll ask you is, when did you get your team to focus on doing 1,000 new letterbox drops? because we can't judge them on they only saw 32 clients last week and they should be seeing 40 because that's their KPI. They don't meet their bonus, they don't get this, they're not a team player. That's rubbish. It's because we haven't actually created a focus on the activity that drives that result. We know that going and visiting practice managers, practice nurses, doctors, etc., sporting teams, going and doing presentations is a gamut of fantastic avenues that you can use in your business that is going to drive better results, more clients. You're going to be able to drive more of that authority complex for people to understand, hey, these are the go-to guys and girls. So if we know that we need to be able to do more of those visits, are we actually measuring that? Are we actually talking to our team about that? Are we actually putting a KPI in place that they need to be able to do 2 of these visits each week? Because if we're not, it shows we're only focusing on the KPI, not the KPA. And all we're doing is relying on hopium and hoping that they're going to see more clients. We can't focus our team on the KPI. We must focus our team members on the KPA. Get them measured, not just off how many people they did see. They don't just get them measured off how many times they see a new client. Don't just get them measured on how many cancellations they had. That's great and they are needed, and there's only 5 dials, and that's another podcast for later. There's only 5 dials you need to measure them on a weekly basis. They're the KPIs. But don't then focus on, hey, you need less cancellations, or don't just be, hey, you need to see more people, etc. Because you're showing that you're focusing on the scoreboard that's already happened. We need to manage that situation better and focus on the KPA. We need to make sure we go, what are the key performance activities that drive that result? If we know that a client is only being seen on average 3 times and all of our other team sees every new client 6 times, then it's not a matter of see the client more, see clients more, book them in more. No, wrong terminology, wrong way. We're focusing in that situation on the key performance indicator. What's better is going to actually identify what drives a person to be able to see someone 6 times, not 3. It's not over-servicing. Have they got the right pathway? Is the team member actually in a scenario that they know what to do and what to say? Is there actually a game plan in place? Do they actually have, we've got things like the patient pipeline that we educate team members on. We actually have the perfect consult pathway, the 9 boxes, the perfect consult moving forward, and we work with our clients on this. When they plug that in and they actually educate the team member on how to do that, and the team member then focuses on the activity and completes the activity, we always know that the spec, the sessions per episode of care, so how many times they see that client, actually increases. So we're actually driving a much better KPI by simply identifying what's the activity that drives a better KPI, a better net result. So here's the thing, team. Don't just focus on the KPI. Are they important? Yes. Do they need to be there? Yes. Should you measure them, test and measure, make sure everyone's aware of them? Yes. But don't focus your driving development momentum on the indicator, on the scoreboard. You need to actually focus on the key performance activities, the things they're going to say and do, the parts of the process they can implement or improve upon, or the marketing that they can do that's going to drive that net result. Because guys, it is all about driving more of the successful activities that are going to drive a better net result. If you do more of the good things that drive the results, and you drive more time, money, and effort into those activities, you're always going to drive a better net output. In other words, if you focus your time, money, and effort with your business and your team on the key performance activities that you know drive a better net result, then you're always going to get more growth, more momentum, a bigger business, a stronger business, a happier team. You're going to change more lives and have greater impact on the community around you. And that's what it's all about. Focus on the KPAs, measure the KPAs and the KPIs, but the KPA is always more important, and more time, money, and effort needs to be driven at the activities that drive the result. Don't get caught, like so many people do, just focusing on the net result. I'll talk to you again very soon.
Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.